Hey, what's up? So this is my March wrap up for all of the books that I read this month. And this month I actually read 6 books, which was quite good. I think I'm quite impressed with that. And let's just jump straight into it. So the first book I read this month was called Flowers for Algernon, and I do actually have a copy of it with me. So I'll put a little picture here. And basically it's about this man, Charlie, who um, it's not explicitly said, but I think he has autism. It's set in like the 60s, so they use a very not PC word, but he's got a learning disability anyway, and it follows him undergoing an experiment to improve his IQ. And the book is written like diary entries by Charlie, so it starts off with him before the experiment, and it continues until way after the experiment. And at the start he can't write very well, he doesn't know spelling or grammar or anything, and then obviously as he gets smarter he gets better at writing, and then he kind of declines again, and it's really fascinating. I've never read a book that was written like that before, but it really suited like the story. Like I can't imagine the story being told in like a just normal way, you know. It just wouldn't be as compelling, and it really let you get intimately deep into like Charlie's thoughts. So I really enjoyed this book, and I would really recommend it, especially if you're looking for something different. Because like I said, I've never read something like it before, and it was so sad. Some parts, just like as Charlie obviously gets smarter, he realizes like how people have been treating him just because he isn't as smart as them throughout his life, and he starts to reflect on things that have happened through his life, and it really is a great book, and I really recommend it. So the second book I read this month was The Hero of Ages, which is the third Mistborn book by Brandon Sanderson. I'll put another picture here, I don't have it with me. And I don't really know what to say about this one without giving spoilers, but I will say that it was the slowest I felt out of the 3 books. The pacing, especially the first half, not much was happening, and because I was so invested in the characters already from the first 2 books, it wasn't that much of an issue. However, if I wasn't invested in the characters, I would have been bored. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great like conclusion to the series. At first, when I was reading it, I was like, "This is like too neatly like wrapped up," you know what I mean? But like when it was done, I was really satisfied. Especially, I was like, I couldn't stop reading. See, like near the end, I just didn't know how they were going to wrap everything up. But he's great at what he does, Sanderson. So I really recommend the series. If you don't know what it's about, basically, it's about this girl, Vin, who discovers that she has magic powers. She's called Mistborn, and the powers come from metal. And that's really all I can say without giving spoilers, but honestly, it is definitely worth a read. And I will say, for people who have read it, Spook, just in the 3rd book, became one of my favourite characters. He was the MVP of the series, in my opinion. So the 4th book I read this month was, if you've looked at my childhood classics, not classics, childhood favourites video, which I'll link in the description, you know that Alice in Wonderland is one of my favourite books. So this copy actually has Through the Looking Glass as well. I didn't read that because I was just waiting on my 4th book to arrive in the post, and I was like, what can I read that's nice and easy? So I reread Alice in Wonderland, and honestly, this book is just, it's crazy. I don't know how Lewis Carroll came up with stuff like this, his mind, like honestly. Also, when I was reading this again, I never really noticed before, every chapter kind of felt like its own little adventure, and I just thought this is like the perfect book that you could read to like your kids. Like when I have kids one day, I'll definitely read this to them as like bedtime stories, because the chapters honestly do feel like little short stories which I've never noticed before. So, I mean, if you've not read this before, what are you waiting for? It's such an easy, like, nice read, and Lewis Carroll is just crazy. So then my 4th book arrived, which is The Virgin Suicides, and I'd actually watched the movie for this book before, a few years ago, so I kind of had a vague idea of what happened in it. Basically, it's about these sisters, and they're really sheltered. Their parents like hide them away from the world, they're not like allowed to leave the house or anything, and then one of the sisters kills himself, and then that just makes the parents go, you know, level 100 and like their, what's the word, like protectiveness, and it just follows the, oh, it's actually from the neighbours' perspective. So the neighbourhood boys are like obsessed with the girls, especially because they're so hidden away, like they're so secretive. So it's from the perspective of the boys who just watch this family like fall apart, and I really enjoyed it. It was nice and easy to read. It's quite short as well. I got through it in a couple of days, and the language is pretty basic, but that I liked it. You know, it's nothing crazy, it's nothing complex. It's nice, easy read, so I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something you can just pick up. So normally I would do cuts in these videos as well, but you know, I'm just feeling lazy, so I'm not gonna cut it. The fifth book I read this month, I actually just picked up at random from the library. I just saw the front cover and I felt intrigued. So it was The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. And this has actually been called one of the best science fiction books like ever written. And personally, I didn't enjoy it. I also found out after I read it, there's a TV series based on this book, which is actually kind of popular. So maybe it's just me, or maybe it's the way it's written actually, more than the actual story. It's basically about an alternative future where Germany and Japan won World War II, and they've taken over America and a lot of the rest of the world. And they've, in America, they've split it in half. You know, Japan owns half and Germany owns half. And it follows a lot of people in the Japanese side, and their stories all intertwine. And the premise is interesting, and the world building, or you know, like of America and how it is after the war, is interesting. However, I didn't enjoy the way it was written. The grammar and stuff was really weird at times, and I actually googled it, and it's because he wrote it as if, so you know, like a stereotypical impression of like a Japanese, Chinese person trying to speak English. It's kind of written like that, which is a bit dodgy, but that's a whole nother conversation. So it kind of makes it difficult to read, and it's not that complex, but it took me a long time to get invested in really any of the characters, especially in the first half of the book. I just wasn't feeling it, but because it is quite short, I thought I'd just like keep going. I didn't really want to DNF it. So if you're into like war and stuff, I think it's definitely an interesting read, but for me, I just didn't enjoy it, and I will not read this again, to be honest. Finally, the last book I read this month was The Scarlet Letter, and this book is like a major classic. And the reason I actually wanted to read this was because one of my favourite movies is Easy A with Emma Stone. And in the movie, it's kind of loosely like modern adaptation based on this book. Not really, but it's there. And in the movie, they actually are studying this book in school. So I wanted to pick it up just because it's one of my favourite movies and I want to see what it's about. And this is a hard read, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it was just because I was coming off of quite a few more modern books, like Alice in Wonderland, easy to read, Virgin Suicides is like really modern. The Man in High Castle, although the grammar is strange, like the language is quite easy, but this like is hard to read. And it made it hard to invest in the characters. I've not even said what it's about. It's basically about this woman, Hester Prynne, who she's married, but she thinks her husband's died because she's not seen him in 2 years, and she has a baby out of wedlock with another man. And because of this, it's set in like the 1600s maybe. She's forced to wear the Scarlet Letter, which is a large letter A for adultery, on her clothes like this. And it follows just the child growing up, Hester's life, living with this sin forever in her clothes, and uncovering who the child's father is. And the premise I thought is interesting. I enjoyed, obviously, because it's set in like America in like 1600s, 1700s, everything that happens, the townspeople and Hester think that it's the influence of either God or the devil, mostly the devil in this book, which is probably accurate for the time period. They probably thought the devil was involved in everything, but I actually really found that aspect of it interesting. However, the way it was written was just so dense at times. It's not really that much of a plot-driven book. For the most part, it's just a lot of dialogue, and I feel like if I'd read this straight after I read, you know, like Lolita and all those other books I read at the start of the year that were classics, then I probably would have found it easier. But coming off of like modern books going into this, I really struggled, and it took me quite a few days to read. This is only 250 pages, I think. No, this is 200, and The Man in High Castle was like 250. So I picked them up both from the library, and I was like, oh, both of them will be 3 days each. But both of them end up taking like 4 days each, maybe longer. Just because, especially this, I kept having to like put it down after every chapter. Like I was reading a chapter, putting it down, reading a chapter, putting it down. Just because it was like, you know, so hard. And yeah, pretty much that's all the books I've read this month. I will not be reading this again. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, especially on The Man in the High Castle. If you've read that before, or if you're a fan of the TV series maybe, I really want to hear your thoughts about that. Because like I said, I can understand why a lot of people would love it, but it just wasn't for me. So if you've read any of these books, let me know down below. Also, let me know if you've been reading anything interesting. And thank you for watching. This is like so early in the morning. I'm filming like 3 videos back to back. So my voice is like crazy. Give me a like and a subscribe if you want to. It really means a lot. And you know, thanks for watching.